run the device center, you need to double click on the device center icon from the desktop, or if you run the CTE, it'll be running automatically. There can only be one instance of the device center. Running the device center may prompt you for a logon, so be prepared based on your access rights. Here the panel opens up and you can see a list of the devices that are currently connected to the system. There are many devices the device center can control. If everything is okay, all the LED or indicator lights will be green, since the device center is always running what we call a built-in test, always checking the communications between each individual device in the system. In this application, we see that we have 4 different devices. One is an SR800 or the black body. The other one is an SR300 integrating sphere, and the other last two are 2 analog frame grabbers or capture cards that are used to interface with the UUT, unit under test, video to the system and close the loop. By double-clicking on the device, you can open the panel and control the device manually. In this case, we opened up the SR800. Now we'll open up the SR300, and it has its own panel. Then we have the frame grabber, which is the analog frame grabber, and here we have a camera link. There are many different video sources that we can have. So here in this case, we have 4 different components or devices that are running at the same time, which you can control. Let's say we want to change the temperature on the black body. So we set the temperature set point to, let's say, 4.5 degrees. Click the apply, and it sets temperature. Here we have also the control of the different targets in the access panel. Here we have many 4-bar targets, so if we select one of the 4-bar targets, we select it, and it indicates that the 4-bar or the target is moving in position, and once it's stable, it went kind of fast, it'll display a stable message. Same as the source stage. Sometimes you have systems that have different sources for different applications. For thermal imagers, you need a black body. For day TV or SWIR cameras, you need a visible source behind the target. So you would select a SWIR or a visible integrating sphere, and the black body would control it. There are other instances where you have an I/O which you need to turn on and off, let's say a power supply or a camera or a halogen lamp, and you can see here by the name the function of these I/O. Here we have a laser loss. If we toggle it on or off, they should turn on the laser. There's usually a laser diode on the source stage, which indicates the loss height of the system. Another instance is a pinhole in halogen, which this indicates some sort of a pinhole behind, or a halogen behind the pinhole, which is used for some sort of alignment between 2 sensors, which would be maybe a day sensor and a thermal imager, because the halogen has enough energy to be visible both in the thermal spectrum and in the visible. Here we have the SR300 integrating sphere, where we can turn it on or off, and by clicking on the on button, setting the range that we want. Let's say we want 100 foot lamperes, then click on the set point, and you can see the range, the min-maximum range that you're allowed to put in, and the units that are working. You can load different calibration files. In this case it's default, but there may be other different calibration files based on user requirements, such as different radiometric calibration. And you would load this here, and it would change the units in the system. The vision device is a more complicated instrument. I'll go over this in a different session. But basically you can see here the vision or the video coming in from the UUT, and you can do some different types of actions from the menu bar on the top here. Basically you can capture, you can stop capturing, and you can maybe save an image or record an image. and perform some image analysis. Okay, this is a little bit about troubleshooting or setting up the communications with the devices in the device center. As you can see here, we have 4 devices. One device is red. In this case, it's the SR800, and it means it's not connected or it's not successfully communicating between the controller on the test bench and the computer here. This could be a number of reasons. One, and the most common, is that the cable is not connected well. Another thing would be that the communications is not defined correctly, and this could be either on the controller itself, which you could find instructions on how to set up the communications ports on the SR800 in its user manual, or it could be something here on the host computer which is not set up properly. Each device could be connected, maybe connected in different manners or different ways. Specifically, the SR800 and even the SR300 can be connected either through Ethernet. You see the Ethernet says the COM type or communications type is Ethernet, or it could be through a serial link or even GPIB. In this case, we're talking about Ethernet, and we need to set it up. And I will continue to show you. The SR800 or any device, in order to connect or communicate, you need to either right click on the device and you have this little drop down, you see communications, and you can click here. You can determine what kind of communications. We're only going to talk about either Ethernet or serial or maybe virtual mode. But right now we've checked the Ethernet box, and what it does, once you collect on that or click on that, if it's in an IP domain that has many different black bodies, you would see a list of black bodies. But since we are usually connecting directly from the computer to the SR800, there should be only one device connected to it, and you would here enter the address, manually enter the address. And as I said, we define the address as 192.168.110 on the SR800. But if I click go to, that's how I would connect, it's still red. So I mean, it means that we still haven't set up something right. And let's assume that on the SR800 everything is okay. So this means maybe the network adapter on the computer is not set up right. So in order to go to set up the network adapter, we have numerous methods, but one method is going down here to the taskbar. As you see here, there's the icon for the internet or networking. I would right click on it and I would select Open Network Internet Settings. Once you open that, you see down here it says Change Adapter Options. And I know that we're connected to, we should be connected to Ethernet number 3. Let's just go and right click on it and select the properties. We go down to what's called TCP v4, double click on that and use a static address. We need to set a static address. We would go to 192.168.1 and let's change the base address or the server address to, let's say, 100. Put in the subnet mask. This has to be 255.255 and the last one 0. So this has to be different from the black body. We click OK, and this should resolve our communications issue. And as you see, once you get the right Ethernet address, the signal goes back to green. It means that we're communicating with the system. The same thing we could do if we wanted to change the address. Instead of using Ethernet, we could go to communications and select the serial port the serial port is set up, basically we would set the port number, and if this happens a lot sometimes, since serial ports are, I wouldn't say less robust, but sometimes people put them in the wrong sockets and they change their port number for whatever reason. So basically, if you were setting up the SR800 as a serial port, you would change the port number here and try and see which one works eventually.